What's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday, April 17th, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Myler Flex Podcast. If you're listening live, thank you for tuning in, and if you're not, hopefully you can catch it later. We have now, got the email a couple days ago, we're now on iTunes. So if you have an Apple phone or anything like that, you can go to iTunes, go look for the podcast, and just type in the Myler Flex Podcast, and it pops up there. So just want to let you guys know, iTunes, we're still waiting on iHeartRadio right now, and we're on Spotify. And like I said before, if you want to listen to this live every week at 1 o'clock, it's on the Speaker app, Spreaker app, podcast app. So anyway, man, what's going on today in Dallas? The weather is kind of crummy. I mean, we're expecting some thunderstorms, and some heavy thunderstorms today and tonight, and possibly even the rest of the week. I'm not sure. So not looking forward to that, but, you know, we got to deal with what we got to deal. It's a little muggy. We got the doors open here at the gym. And like I always tell you guys, we're live here at Next Rep Fitness. So if you guys hear weights banging and clanging, that means people are doing their thing, getting to their goals. So let's give you a recap, you know, what's going on this last week. I want to kind of slow things down today on this podcast. It's just myself. So I'm going to take some Q&A. Today's topic is about exercise form and my philosophy with dealing with new clients. So, and the importance of the form that you use with certain exercises. So I had some people say, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? So I'm going to explain that later on in the show. But first, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this last week, what's going on, what's been happening. Saturday, we went in to Dexa Fit here in Dallas. They're all over the nation, but we went to Dexa Fit, and what that is, it's a Dexa Scan. So it's kind of like the gold standard for body fat percentage and find out your lean muscle. Also, it gives you the reading of your bone density. And so anyways, I did that 6 months ago, and to kind of give you an idea, I first started getting back into my diet and working out and everything, slowly making baby steps, starting last year on July 5th. And then about late September is when I really got serious. And I said, okay, for the next 90 days, I'm going to go hard. So anyways, during that middle of the 90 days, I went and actually had a Dexa Scan done. And so I want to share with you guys the results. And so this has been 6 months, and to update you guys on, you know, the type of diet that I do and everything, I'm a big believer in the keto diet. There's so much science that backs it up. Is it hard to nail everything down? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's really easy at the beginning for clients. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes clients get misled about what the ketogenic diet does, because it's the only diet out there that actually preserves the muscle that you have. So when you get on the scale, sometimes it doesn't even look like you're losing that much, when in reality you're losing a lot of inches. You're preserving the muscle that you have, and possibly even gaining some, because you're taking in such a big amount of leucine. This is an amino acid that you are taking outside of other diets that you kind of lack sometimes. So you're taking so much of that through the healthier fats. So anyway, I'm a keto guy, and you know, the number one thing I wanted to do when I started working out again is I didn't want to go through the time commitment and everything it took about 5 years ago. You know, 5 years ago, I was training to become a spokesperson for a supplement company. They wanted me at, you know, a really, really good physique, and so I was busting my ass about 3.5 hours a day and eating 5,500 calories a day, and it was miserable. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. It was miserable, and that kind of, you know, stalled me from getting back to it, because once I ended that, my fire was just not lit anymore for working out and dieting and everything. And then I moved my gym So we upgraded, got a larger space, and I was more focused on, getting that up and running. So the number one thing when I said, okay, Cody, it's time to, reinvest in yourself and get things back on track, but I wanted to do it with balance. And when I say that, I was talking about a time commitment of balance. I still wanted to put the effort, like the intensity in the workouts that I do are still just as intense, but it didn't have to be my whole life. And that was the biggest objective. So when I got this Dexa scan, I wanted to see, okay, how much of progress can I make and not make everything in my life about working out and not taking 3 hours a day of working out. So I started off between 30 minutes and then eventually worked up to an hour, and now an hour and a half. And so let's just go ahead and see what the results were. When I first started, I know on July 5th, I weighed 254 pounds. I wish I would have done the Dexa scan back then, but I didn't. So when I did do it, it was October 5th, 2018. And at that time, I weighed 241.4 pounds. Now remember, I'm 6'6". I weighed 241.4 pounds. I weighed in Saturday at 226.7 pounds. Okay. My body fat on October 5th was 24.8%. My body fat Saturday was 19.1%. Now, I will tell you, for the people out there listening, if you've never had a Dexa scan and all you do is the body fat percentages with those little handheld things, or you step on your scale and it says whatever you have, or even if you do the skin fold test, they're not accurate, and you might show lower, like especially with skin fold, if you're doing it wrong and not hitting the correct placement every time you do it, you're going to get an off reading. And so Dexa normally is about 2 to 3% higher than all other readings because it's precise. I mean, it gets every bit of your body fat in your face, in your feet, in your hands, everything that all those other instruments just don't do. And so when you're at 19% body fat, I mean, in all reality, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I personally know what my goal is because I know somebody that has the body that I really want and what I'm trying to work towards, and he is 11% body fat at 235 pounds. And so let me go ahead and explain with my muscle. My muscle was at 174.4 pounds in October. Now it's 176.5 pounds. So a good solid 2 pounds of muscle gained. I went from body fat 59.9 pounds to 43.3 pounds of body fat I have on me. This one I'm really happy and excited about. Your visceral fat, and that one is the most important body fat because that surrounds your organs, your important organs, your liver, kidneys. That's what leads to diabetes and other types of diseases. And so I first started off at 1.97 pounds, so close to 2 pounds of body fat. And guys, if you ever saw an example of what like 5 pounds of body fat looks like, I mean, it's bigger than a football. It's almost like the size of a football and a half. And so, I had 2 pounds of that. That's a lot of real estate that body fat was taken inside my organs there. And so now I am down to 0.84, so under a pound, which is awesome. They tell you they want you under a pound of body fat, and so I'm in the perfect zone. And I'm so happy to be able to say that and be a ketogenic person that's taking in high amounts of good, clean fats and I still dropped a shitload of visceral fat. And the only way you drop that is by the right diet and cardio. That's the only way you lose that type of body fat. And so what's really interesting about the readings that I got is for the last 6 months, I've pretty much just eaten about 2,000 calories every day, which is insane comparing it to when I was trying to build muscle and lean out at 5,500 calories on a normal Western bodybuilding diet. And so with incorporating at least a 12-hour fast every day and raising my human growth hormone and eating just 2,000 calories, I still was able to build 2 pounds of muscle, which, is pretty damn good in 6 months. Could it be faster and could have been more? Yeah, it could have. But again, it's about balance. That's not where my life was. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm getting there, and that's all that matters. I don't care how long it takes, as long as I'm on the road to get there. And so I gained 2 pounds. Plus, I lost 5.5% body fat. So that's huge. So now that I have these new stats, I've changed my whole diet up, still keto, but for the last probably about 4 months, I've just eaten keto foods, and it was very similar to what my original menu that I made when I went really strict the first 90 days. But I really haven't tracked. So Sunday, when we had time, I sat down on the couch and I started dissecting everything for the diet. And so my new macros going forward for, I believe, for the next 4 weeks are going to be 3,500 calories a day versus 2,000. And I am going to hit 75% fat. That's right, 75% fat. And those fats are coming from avocado, MCT oil, Kerrygold grass-fed butter, nuts, and a little bit of sour cream, not much. I'm only getting 2 tablespoons of that with my eggs in the morning. And then obviously fats through eggs. So that's the biggest majority of where I'm getting my fat. Also every night I'm having 5 ounces of salmon. So you're getting good, clean, healthy fats with the fish as well. So 75% fats, 20% protein. So I based that. Normally I was doing 0.80 grams per body weight of lean mass. Okay. So that was, right around the 140s. Well, now I've upped it to 1 gram per body weight of lean mass. So I'm at 176 pounds of lean mass. So I'm taking in 176 grams of protein. That's 20% of my diet. And then the rest is just carbs, which is pretty much coming from, my vegetables and, little things like that. You're going to get maybe a carb here with the sour cream and eggs and stuff like that. So anyways, it's really low in the grand scheme of it. Total, I'm getting 80 grams of carbs, but I'm getting 50 grams of fiber. So we're knocking, about 30, it's actually like 86 grams. So I'm getting about 36 grams of carbs a day, which is totally fine with the type of workouts that I'm doing and the intensity that I'm doing. Plus, we're working out 7 days a week right now. 7 days a week. So it's for the last 6 months, I've only been working out 4 to 5 days a week. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this goes. And the reason why I have this timeline is, if you guys have been listening or following on Instagram, my wife and I were doing the 75 hard challenge that Andy Frisilla put together. And so today is actually day 24 out of 75. And when I was looking at the dates, June 9th is going to be the last day. That's going to be the 75th day. Well, that just so happens that the Europa Games are here in Dallas. And that's a huge, one of the biggest fitness exhibitions and competitions in Dallas. And so that's actually June 8th and 9th, and I was like, oh wow, that's like perfect timing. So my plan is probably 4 weeks of the macros that I'm at right now, and then I really want to go to the show. I'm not competing, that's not my style, but I do want to walk around the show at a physique that I'm really proud of, that I've been working almost a year towards. And so about 2 weeks out, I'm going to pull my carbs down to 25 carbs total, not net, but total, for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and drop my fats and up protein probably about 5 to 10 more percent. So my ratio will probably be anywhere between 65% fat to 25 to 30% protein those last couple weeks leading into June 8th and 9th for the Europa. So that's where I'm at with the diet, where my 6 months checkup is. So I'm super excited about that. Guys, if you live here in Dallas and you want to get a Dexa Scan or a RMR, a resting metabolic rate, which my wife, this was the first time she's ever been, so she got her Dexa Scan done, so we know now her baseline there, and she got her RMR. So basically what that is, they sit you down in a chair for about 10 minutes, you breathe into this mask, and it measures your carbon dioxide and oxygen ratio. It tells you if you're burning off of more carbs or if you're burning off of more fats. And for her, she was burning a high level of fats, which was awesome to see that she's burning off of fat. And then it gives you your baseline calories, like how many calories does your body need to survive, because it burns X amount of calories every day if you just even laid in bed all day. So we know where hers is, and I based her macros the exact same way as mine. Obviously calories are way lower, but 75, 25, so that's where she's at. She's on day 3 of that type of meal plan. So we're going to see what the next couple weeks look like with her on that type of meal plan. And just like everything, if you got to tweak it a little bit, you got to tweak it. I had to tweak mine about 4 months into it. I had to pull a tablespoon of MCT oil out because my body was burning more of the dietary fats instead of my regular fats when I was working out. So sometimes at the beginning you gotta load up higher in the fats with keto, and then you gotta start peeling it down and add a little more protein as you start getting more in shape and building more muscle. So like I said, I'm really happy with the results, and I'm happy with those results because of the time commitment that I put in. Now granted, some of the people out here that know me know for the last 24 days, it's been totally different. That's just because of the 75 hard. But the 6 months prior to this, you guys wouldn't have even really known that I'm doing anything much different with my life. I still went out, we still had a couple cocktails here or there. I ate keto foods all the time. I worked out for an hour and a half, 5 days a week. I weight trained 4 days. I was here at the gym, didn't bother anybody's schedule, nothing, and it worked out great, and I still made those results. So that is my biggest message I want to send to people, is find your balance, find your happy, find where that works to get healthy. It may take longer, okay, accept that, it's fine. I've accepted that, I've accepted the fact that it's going to take a little bit longer to get where I want to ultimately be, but I'm on the track, and I'm totally okay with that. I'd rather be doing that than nothing at all. So like I said, I already talked about the 75 hard. Actually, I forgot to bring, so the workouts that I've been doing, it's different. I told you guys I'm doing a reverse pyramid type deal. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have some really heavy lifts. Well, now I've added some different lifts on Tuesday, Thursdays to complement those lifts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I meant to bring my sheet in to kind of give you guys an idea of what the program looks like. Maybe you guys will be interested in doing the same type of deal. So maybe next week I'll get in and dive in on that program. I see it's really been good. I'm really tracking everything that I'm lifting. I was shocked yesterday on my bench press. I went up 30 more pounds, which told me maybe I wasn't. I felt like it. I thought I was pushing hard the last 3 weeks. This is week 4, but I went up 30 more pounds, which was insane. I went for the same. I try to add 5 to 10 more pounds more than what I did the week prior. So I put 5 more pounds on than what I did last week, and that was lightweight. I was like, what in the world? This is nothing. And then I was like, okay, well, since it felt that good, I better throw some heavy weight on there to really see where am I, because obviously I'm stronger than what this little 5 or 10 pound extra from the week before was. And 30 pounds more. I was really pleased with that. So that's about what's going on. Like I said, the weather has just been kind of dreary here in Dallas. So. And also, I'm happy to announce this. We have a new show sponsor. We made an agreement yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, and I talked about them the other day. They're called Keto Delights out of McKinney. And so here soon, you guys will start hearing commercials ran by Keto Delights once we get them all produced and everything. But I tell you, they're part of my daily macros. Their bagels are off the chain. I'm telling you, they're awesome. The bagels are legit. Their cupcakes are great as well, don't get me wrong, but the bagels are something that we put in our everyday. So now I have these 3 egg biscuits that we make that have spinach and bacon and a little bit of cheese. So I eat 3 of those, and then I have 1 of their bagels every day, and that meets, the bagels are like 2 carbs and like 20 some grams of fat or something like that. They're great macros for keto. And so Keto Delights McKinney, you can find them on Facebook, and then also you can call or text them at 469-500-7875. They're keto friendly, low carb, gluten free, sugar free, freshly baked desserts, and they use non-GMO ingredients. So check them out also on Facebook, Keto Delights McKinney. They'll come and deliver it to your house, to your work, anything within the DFW area. So anyway, speaking of that, let's go ahead and let's get a word from one of our sponsors.
Do you like fresh pressed juices? If so, check out Raw Roots Juices. Spelled R.A. Roots. They are located in Dallas, Texas, but can ship nationwide. So if you're looking for juice cleanse or a daily juice, use this code MylerFlex for 15% off.
All right. Also, I wanted to say I'm really sorry about last week. If you guys were listening on the app, or if you went back and listened to it on Spotify, I'm really sorry. I don't know what in the world was going on. I guess the internet wasn't connecting correctly or something, because we just kept on hearing all these glitches in the recording. And I was, every time we get done with this podcast, I go back and re-listen to it in my car immediately on the way back to the house. And I was like, no. So we had Colin Joseph on, one of the top Instagram fitness people out there, and I was just like, no, it sounded like crap. Luckily, when it got to about his point of the interview, it stopped doing that, but the first 20-30 minutes, it sounded like crap. So I'm really sorry about that. If you guys want to see that podcast and listen to it in a better format, it's actually up on YouTube. I'm actually able to get the videos for the podcast up the same day. So today I will have this one up later on YouTube. So again, go to Myler Flex and Podcast, Myler, Flex, the letter N, Podcast. And I have, I believe, 4 of the episodes of the podcast up, and I have 1 vlog. It's an extended vlog, so if you're bored on one of these rainy days, it's about an hour long, but that really goes in depth of really, kind of what my life is and what we do. And it was kind of a special event where you had to go on the road and go to Corpus Christi during that week. But the next couple podcasts will be, vlogs will be a little more realistic, not as much traveling, to show you guys, what are we doing and what I'm doing to maintain and reach the goals that I'm going for. So anyway, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's dive into
What the Fitness.
So we're a little dry this week on What the Fitness. I couldn't find a whole lot of stories. But what I did look up, and I was listening to a podcast someplace else, and they were talking about this particular study. And I was like, okay, I gotta find this. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I hear so many times people being negative towards themselves. You hear women talking to their girlfriends all the time and be like, oh girl, I'm fat here, I'm this. You hear that all the time about people always being so negative about their appearance and all that. And when I was listening to this podcast, it really talked about one particular incident and study that really shows the impact and how powerful your mind and your belief system and how your body can truly develop into what you in your head believe. And so there was a study done in 1972. I'll go ahead and pull it up here on my phone for you guys. It was in 1972, and it was a study on athletic performance. And what they did is they took, athletes. They took all these athletes. They explained so for 11 weeks, the athletes would lift weights for the first 7 weeks. Okay, so they had this X amount of athletes, I'm not sure how many, and they had them lift weights for the first 7 out of 11 weeks. And those who made the most improvement during that period would be rewarded. Now, what were they rewarded for, or what did they get? Dynabol, which is an anabolic steroid. Okay, so it's what a lot of guys use to try to get huge. Okay, so they said, okay, for the athletes that have just drained their butts off and whoever gains the most muscle in the first 7 weeks, we're going to give you this steroid. And then for the final 4 weeks, they kept on feeding them these pills, and basically they were like sugar pills. I mean, they weren't real steroids, they were fake. Okay, so the athletes didn't know that the researchers were just lying to them. So after the initial 7-week training period, the scientists randomly selected 6 athletes as the winners. However, despite being told that they were getting real steroids, the athletes actually received placebo pills. And then here's what happened. So 4 weeks later, when the researchers conducted the final test, the athletes set an all-time personal record in every exercise tested. So before the placebo pills, the lifters added an average of 5.8 pounds to their squat during the first 7 weeks. Okay, so remember that. They don't know. They added 5.8 pounds to their squat in the first 7 weeks. After they believed that they were taking steroids, they added an average of 41.8 pounds on their squat in just the 4 weeks of training. That's a 7 times increase in nearly half the time. And it's just because those guys truly believed that little placebo pill, which is just a sugar capsule, was steroids. So it's amazing. It's truly amazing if you just believe in something on what you're capable of doing. Just another example, you hear that all the time. And so I kind of reflected on that myself, and I think about all the people that are always so negative on themselves. If you guys would just stop saying this stuff out loud and truly start believing in what you're doing and what you're striving for, your body more likely is going to take that same message and go with you. So I'm pretty critical on myself. I'm not gonna lie. Chrissy, she hears me say, "Oh man, I need to get rid of some more of this belly fat around my abs. I got, some love handles, stuff like that." So I'm done with that. I'm not saying that anymore. I'm finished. I'm going to say, you know what? I made progress here. I'm this is looking good. This is looking good. I'm making progress. I'm going to be more positive about myself. What the hell? What's it going to hurt? Why wouldn't you do that? So I hope you guys take that along. If you guys want to go find that article, I think it was James Clear. jamesclear.com. It's The Power of Placebo. So the whole study and article is there. There's a lot more. They have a lot more stats on what their bench press went up to, squats, everything. So if you guys want to read a little more about that, it's definitely an interesting article on just how powerful the mind is. And once the mind believes it, the body receives it. So keep that in mind, and I hope you guys stop being negative on yourself. All right, so it's that time of the week.
Beat of the week.
All right, this week's Beat of the Week is by Post Malone. It's called Wow. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic. Like I told you guys at the beginning of the show, today's topic is about exercise form, the importance of it, and then also my personal philosophy of how I work with new clients. I just went ahead and turned the cameras on, so we're live now on Instagram, on the Myler Flex Instagram, and then we're also live on Next Rep Fitness's Facebook page, okay? So, gosh, form, exercise form, guys. Let me tell you, owning a gym, training clients for all these years, I've seen so many ways of how people think certain exercises are supposed to be done. And let me tell you, some of them make me sit back and really look at them and go, wow, they really think this is what you're supposed to do. If you guys go on YouTube and you just type in gym fails, I'm pretty sure about half of those videos I've seen in person. They're real, they're real. There's actually people out there doing some of that crap. So I want you guys to understand there's multiple reasons on why you want to have the correct form. And a lot of people have a hard time engaging the correct muscles when performing whatever exercise it may be. So let's talk about deadlifts. With deadlifts, when you're done with that workout, if you went through a really good taxing deadlift workout, the next day you should be feeling that in your glutes. You might even feel a little bit in your hamstrings. You shouldn't be feeling it all in your lower back, okay? Unless you're somebody like me that has a fractured back. But even myself at a fractured back, I don't even feel it that much anymore in my back. Once I really started putting my mind in the muscle and figuring out what I needed to do to get the correct form, it totally changed everything. And so, with a deadlift, once you're bent over and you have that nice back that's just parallel with the ground, a nice flat back, the first thing you do that you start to activate are your glutes. There's so many people you see and they're just like going up, down, real fast. They're not activating their glutes. And so they're not getting what the benefit of what a deadlift is truly for. And so you have to activate those glutes. Now, the reason why, number one, once you activate those glutes, it takes all the pressure off your lower back. So that's the number one thing. You just don't want to have a jacked up back. So all the pressure comes off the back when you're activating the glutes. Number two, that's the muscle that you're really trying to focus on, mind and the muscle. So when you are doing those deadlifts, you got to put your mind in the muscle, mind in the glutes, and come up all the way. And you're trying to, once you lift that barbell up, and remember, when you're lifting that, as you have the lower back and you're hinging at the hips, that bar is staying close to your shins. Okay, I'm just going to keep everything very layman terms, but you want to keep that bar as close to your shins as possible, so that way you're going straight up with the bar. Okay, if you have the bar out about 5-6 inches in front of your shins, now when you go to pick it up, all that weight is leaning forward more, so it's almost forcing you to be on your toes a little bit, and then that bar isn't going straight up, it's more going in a slight diagonal line, and you want that bar going straight up when you're doing a deadlift. All right, so let's talk about, I'm going to talk about more of the common lifts that you see in the gym. Lat pull downs. How many people do you see that are just yanking that bar down, leaning back, pulling that bar almost to the middle of their chest, like to almost their stomach, or they're straight up, but when they pull down, they like rotate and they're like pushing that bar down just because they think the bar's got to go down almost to their damn waist. and that drives me insane. I'm just like, no, stop. You are not activating the muscle that you're supposed to be activating, and you're just ruining your shoulders by rotating and trying to push that bar down. And so I want you guys to think of, now this is just the beginner, okay? There are certain variations of lat pull down, but I'm just giving you the first stage. Pretend you are up against the wall. Your body's up against the wall, you're grabbing the bar, you're pulling down, and you're pulling just below your chin, just like about where your clavicle is. You're going to pull that bar right there. As you're doing that, you're going to push your chest up to the ceiling, okay? Now, there's things that, as a beginner, I want you to focus on. As you get more advanced, you can change, and I'll explain. So, let's say you're sitting where you are right now. Put your arms up, okay? Raise them up and act like you're trying to touch the ceiling. Now, what I want you to do with your scapula, or people like to call their bat wings back there, with your scapula, I want you to push your shoulders and everything down. Just push them down, okay? So pretend that you're holding on to the bar and you're on the lat pull down. You're straight up. Your first movement is drop those shoulders. Drop the shoulder blades, okay? Now, you still have a good stretch in the lats, but now what I want you to do is keep those shoulders down, and then let's pretend you're pulling down, chest up to the sky. Now, let's talk about the eccentric phase. So the negative, you're letting it up. There's also a tempo to this, but we won't talk about it. Now, instead of letting the bar go all the way up and letting your shoulders release, keep those shoulders, keep the scapula engaged. Now, this is for somebody that's a beginner. The reason why is because we want all those stabilizing muscles that are within the shoulder girdle and even through the trapeze and the rhomboids and all those muscles that are surrounding around the shoulder girdle, around the scapula. We want them to get strong. So as a beginner, keep that scapula, keep those shoulders down, and keep that whole muscle group, as if you will, activated. So if you're doing 3 sets of 12, 15, keep those activated. Now, let's say you feel good, you've advanced, you've added, 40, 50, 60 pounds on your lat pull downs over time. Now, and you feel like, hey, I don't feel any pain in my shoulders, that's when you can go ahead and now you can release those shoulders. So remember, let's go ahead, let's pull down that part where you're going back up. Now you can go ahead and release the shoulders, because one of the biggest things, there's a difference between muscle strength and muscle growth. You've already strengthened the muscle girdle around there by engaging through the whole movement. Now we want to get those lats, we want those wings, okay? So you want to get some muscle growth in there. So you have to stretch and contract. Lots of stretching with muscle building and shaping the body. It's all about different angles, and it's all about stretching, contracting, sorry, and it's all about blood flow. It's those three things. Those are the three main things to building lean mass, okay? And so when you now are letting those shoulders release, now don't just let them go. You still want to hold a little tension there, but you can let them go a little bit and let that lat, because your lat is connected right, like kind of under your armpit a little bit. Again, I'm not going to use all the technical terms, but if you're watching live on Instagram, you can see I'm pointing everywhere, and you got your upper, mid, and lower lats. And that's a whole nother ball game on, if you want to use a D-ring and you're leaning back, pushing the elbows forward, everything. We're just going to talk about wide lat pull down. And so that's kind of the advanced version of letting those shoulders release a little bit and then pulling in. Even when you do that, I like to go ahead and release, and then when I'm about to pull back down, I still pull and push those shoulder blades together, the scapula down, and I still pull the bar and put the chest up in the air. So now you guys may be wondering or asking yourself, God, I mean, is it that big of a deal? Like, really, is it that big of a deal to be focused so much on a particular muscle group and on the form? And it truly is. It truly, truly is. If you're really focused on trying to shape your body and change the way it looks in different areas. Now, if you're a person that's just trying to, just lose inches, lose weight, well, maybe doing specific weight training, on the machine, or specific free weight movements aren't what you want to focus on, if you just think you can't get it. So maybe it's just like a body weight boot camp class or something like that, which even in those classes, you still got to watch what you're doing. You still got to watch the form, lunges, squats, all that stuff. There's still some variance there. What was one somebody was asking me about? Well, I think somebody asked about like dumbbell curls. So you see a lot of times when people are doing, we'll just talk about alternating dumbbell curls, and they're just like wailing that thing up, boom, 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 going fast. They got these big ass heavy dumbbells, 50, 60 pound dumbbells, and they're just wailing these things, and their shoulders are rocking back. And guys, that's just a waste of time. That's just a pure waste of time. You really want to focus on trying to keep those elbows locked into your side, shoulders back, and you're just not fast. You're controlling the weight. Guess what, guys? You may have to drop the pounds down, okay? You just may have to. I'm sorry. You may not be as strong as what you think. All right? Get that through your head. Get that through your thick skulls, guys. You may have to drop down to a 40-pound dumbbell instead of a 60. But I guarantee you, over a few weeks, if you do it correctly with that 40, you will legitimately do a 60-pound dumbbell down the road. I promise you. But as long as you keep doing that crappy-ass form with that 60, you're not going to advance that fast. And even if you do, it's not true. It's not even a correct rep in my eyes. So sometimes lowering your weight, you're going to get more benefit out of that with the correct form. Let me give you guys my philosophy though, even though I just kind of went off on form and technique. I also have my own philosophy on how I implement the form with my new clients. And let me explain. There are so many people out there that don't go to the gym because they're worried about, am I doing it right? Am I doing it correct? Am I doing it correct? And so they'll stall themselves for like years, sometimes years before going into the gym because they are so damn worried about, am I doing the exercise correctly? That's one. Or they're worried about, am I going to look like an idiot in the gym? Am I going to look like that person on YouTube? First of all, if you already are cognizant of those people on YouTube, you probably aren't going to look like that person on YouTube. But yeah, you might have the form wrong. You know what? I don't care. So when I get a new client, I can even think of one right now. I've had her for about 3 months now. I've been training her boyfriend for about 6 months. Crazy progress. I'll go ahead and post it on when I do this YouTube video. You guys can see where he's at right now compared to where he was. Insane body transformation. And so finally she bought in, and she also let go of the idea of, I'm so worried about, am I doing it correctly? I mean, she is one of many people, and I'll say it's usually more women out there that are worried about, are they doing it correct? And my philosophy of what I use when I get a client like that is very just so nonchalant. I'm not, because I've seen over the years, there's a difference between athletes and being just so kind of like militant drill sergeant and being like, do this now, get it done, versus just the everyday person that's just trying. There's a difference, and sometimes trainers don't understand that difference when it comes to people. And I honestly, let's give an example of TRX, okay? TRX rows. I would show her how to do it, and then I would have her grab the TRX straps and have her start doing it. If she was at least about 75-80% correct in her form, I was like, perfect, go for it. And I would literally walk away, because I train multiple people at the same time. They're all doing their own thing. They all have their own goals. And I'd just be like, good job. Walk away. I wanted her to feel that it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, you have built this in your head about, oh my God, if I can't do this correctly, I might as well not do it at all. And so my philosophy is just making the clients feel like, oh wow, like, that really? That's it? You're not going to yell at me? You're not going to correct every little minute move? No, I'm not. Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. I want you just to get used to even getting your butt back into the gym. That's really what I care about. I want you to start enjoying working out again. I want you to enjoy changing your lifestyle a little bit. So I really, I'm sure some members of the gym, when they're looking at me and they see sometimes a new client or whatever, and they see, oh, that form's not exactly perfect, I really don't care. I don't care. I will care down the road, don't get me wrong, and if they are set up in a position that's going to hurt them, I totally am going to stop them. But I don't think at the very, very, very beginning, with a person that is so worried, there's many different clients with different backgrounds and different drives, but you got some of these clients that are just so worried about if they were doing it correctly, and if they're not, they might as well not do it at all. So when you have that category of a client, don't make it that big of a deal. Don't change every little minute thing that they do and keep correcting. All these years that I've been basketball coach and working with all these different athletes and then working with everyday people, I've been able to separate that. And at the beginning, as a trainer at the beginning, I was militant about, okay, you got to get the form correct, you got to start it right here, and people just didn't enjoy their workouts. They were worried so much in their head about if they're doing it correctly, Now, like I said, I am so nonchalant about it. And again, that's not with every client. Now, for instance, that the girl that I'm talking about and her boyfriend, he played college football. He played football his whole life. So pretty much from day one, and he was motivated. Really, he just needed to change his idea of okay, let me get the ball rolling again. But he had motivation coming in. So at the beginning, and he's already had prior training, I could be a lot more direct on, hey, pull those shoulders down. All right, now I want you to really engage, push through the heels. I could give him those type of cues, and he responded to it and understood. Then you got some people that are even just naturally gifted physically and with coordination. There's a lot of people I've learned over these years, which, I'm just why can't you get this? This is so easy, but their coordination is totally off. Let's talk about battle ropes. If I had somebody, doing alternating battle ropes, and then all of a sudden I say switch and I say circles, they have the hardest time switching from alternating to circles. There's some people that it blows my mind that their coordination for physical activity and stuff is off. But sometimes you got those people, and those kind of fall in the same category of those people that are so worried about, are they doing it correctly? So you kind of got to take baby steps with them and coach them into it. I try to coach them into it without them knowing that that's what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So for that example of when I had her on the TRX straps and I showed her how I wanted it, I go through the whole spiel. I say, I want I want everything straight, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle, boom, straight, big chest, pull all the way through. I show it, but I also explain it in a way where it's kind of fast, kind of not that big a deal, and here, you get on it, you do it. And then once they do it a couple times, they're always going to be like, am I doing it correct? Am I doing it correct? I'm like, yeah, good job. And I literally turn around and walk away, because I want to just burst that bubble, burst that thought, that negative thought of, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this right. This isn't going to do anything. Over time, I change that up, and then they start learning. They start developing. Their body starts adapting to different movements. Now, again, there might be some of those clients that have no coordination, so that may never adapt, and that's okay. You just got to work around that. So I think as a trainer, you just got to find, if you were going to take my advice, and I've been around a long time, I've trained a lot of trainers, and I've trained many people, from professional athletes to actors to the everyday person. And what I have found is you have to be flexible as a trainer to be successful. So, and I think that comes with any job out there. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO of a company, if you're a life coach, it doesn't matter. You have to kind of be flexible towards the people that you're working with and be able to change. People react and people respond to what you say and what you do differently. And you can't just be this one-way person when it comes to training or being a CEO or whatever it may be. You can be one way on your mission as far as what you kind of want, but you still need to adapt to those outside surroundings and outside people. So again, when it comes to form and working with a new client, I really try to make it where it's not that big of a deal. If you're that client that's so worried about form and doing it correct, if that makes you not come into the gym. If you're that person that has had background, has experience and just needs to jumpstart, yeah, we're going to jump into it. We're going to get the form correct. I'm going to tweak everything that you need. And yeah, we're going to go from there. So that was pretty much my topic for this week, is just, how if you're that type of person that's listening to this podcast right now and you're so worried about doing that, so worried about going into the gym, and what my advice would be is just get on those machines. You pretty much can't screw up your form on a machine. It doesn't matter if it's what they call the selectorized machines, where it's got the stack and you put the pin in there, or if you're using like a hammer strength type machine. Start there. If you are a newbie in the gym, just start there. Start there and maybe do body weight things. Because like I said, it's kind of hard to screw up the form. I mean, like a lot of machines, you can only go in a certain direction. You know, like the chest press machine, either you got the vertical grip and you're pushing straight forward, or you can come up right here. You know, the little bit of variance that you do, it's not going to change that much in what you're trying to accomplish. So if you're stopping yourself from going into the gym just because of those reasons, that's the advice I'd give you. Start off on the machines, and then over time, start educating yourself, start learning, then get into a little bit more free weight stuff. And if you still are, stumped on what to do, don't be scared. Go get a trainer. Even if it's just for about 2 or 3 months and you really start learning things, go hire a trainer. Do your homework on the trainer. Find out if they have a legit background and they have a legit certification, and don't just take any Joe Schmo off the street and say, hey, I want you to train me. So that's pretty much my message for this week. Next week I have a guest. She goes in and she helps a lot of businesses, fitness businesses and fitness social media accounts, and helps them develop their accounts a lot better. So instead of being the person that is being talked about, like Colin Joseph and Alicia Cash that I've had prior, where they're the focal point, she's the person that's on the back end that's producing and making it all happen. So she's on the podcast next week, and that's all we got. So I'm glad we got a pretty good group of people watching on, especially on Instagram. Who we got? There you go. I see Joe. I see Stephanie, Christina. Who else? Bethany. Yeah. What's up? What's going on? This is me waving because I'm just going to wave like this one time to all you guys. What we got on Facebook? We got Meredith. What's up, Meredith? I see you watching. Long time. Haven't seen you in a while. So anyway, thank you for watching. And again, we are live on the Speaker app, and we are now on iTunes, Spotify, and soon to be on iHeartRadio. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you have a kick-ass week. I'll have this video up and running by the end of the evening. So till then, keep repping and flexing.